Here's a video on how to set up your Tailflick analgesic circuit. And I'm going to be moving the camera around, so sorry that it's a little bit shaky. But here is a prototype of the circuit. And it's connected to an Arduino Uno here. And I have it all set up in sort of a prototype situation that I can use the software to test that it's functional. So what I'm going to do is just go into the Arduino software. You can't see that, but I'm going to show you that if I cover the light sensor here with my fingers, then I can use the serial monitor in the Arduino software, and it will initialize itself and tell me that it says program initialized. I'm going to point to my screen and show you that. Then, as I put the camera back, I'm going to keep this sensor covered, and what will happen is when I tell the Arduino software that I'm ready, I do that just by typing Y into the line on the serial monitor, and I hit enter, and it will start the program. The LED light turns on, and if I let go of the photosensor, that's an indication that the tail of the rodent has flicked out of the way and the light should turn off. And I can repeat, and the serial monitor tells me how long that took for the tail to flick. It's 16.92 seconds. I can do this again. All I have to do is go back into the serial monitor, type Y, enter, it'll start again, and if I move my hand to sense light, that means the tail flicked, and that time it took 3.36 seconds. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to deconstruct this circuit so I can show you how it's assembled. Okay, so this is an LED that I'm using instead of the heat lamp. This is the relay that operates the heat lamp based on whether or not the photo transistor senses light. And this is an Omron G5V-1. It has a total of 6 pins on bottom. It's a little bit strange in that the coil that operates the relay to open or close it as a switch are the middle 2 pins here. So those are the ones that you're connecting to the Arduino pin number 12, and basically pin number 12 will turn on or off to activate this relay. And what it's doing is it's creating a connection between this pin here and this pin here. Actually, it's disconnecting that connection. It's a normally closed relay for these 2 pins, and then when 5 volts is applied to these 2 pins from the Arduino, it will open it, and that will turn off the heat lamp. Okay, I'm just going to disconnect the rest of these wires and start from scratch. And I'm somewhat color coding my wires for this circuit, just so that I know what's what. Okay, so now I'm starting with the breadboard here. You can see if I rotate it, it has numbers 1 through 30 indicating the rows. The rows on a breadboard here are connected. These 5 are connected to one another, so anything that you insert in there will be electrically connected. The same is true on the other side, but these 2 sides are not connected to one another. And these are connected as columns. So if I put something into the plus side here, everything down to the bottom is connected on the plus to that, and then the same is true of the negative. This side is not connected to this side, so this is another plus and minus that are connected vertically. And again, these are connected horizontally, but not across the middle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my Arduino, and the first thing I'm going to do is just put wires into the pins that I'm going to be using. In this case, I'm going to use the 5-volt connection here. I know that's hard to read with this camera, and the ground, but they're marked inside here, so 5V in ground. 5V is yellow, ground is green. I'm also going to be using pin number 2, and pin number 2, so it goes 0, 1, 2 up from the bottom. That is going to be my sensor as to whether or not light has been seen or not on the phototransistor. And I'm going to be using pin 12 up here at the top as my relay operator. So now I have 4 wires coming out of the Arduino, and I can set that aside for a moment. The next thing I'm going to do is connect my wires on the breadboard along with the components. I have a standard silicon diode. I don't know the characteristics, but it's the most common silicon diode that you can use, and I'm going to insert that between 27, I'm going to rotate this around, between 27 and 23. Another thing I should say is that I've snipped the ends of the wires so that they sit fairly flat on my breadboard. So when I insert that, it looks something like that, and it's going from 27 to 23. I say that because the gray stripe is towards 23. Then I'm going to connect a resistor to go from 23, so along the same row as the stripe on the diode, to 18. I've also snipped the wires on this. Resistors don't have a direction, you can put it in any direction, but I have these two in 23, so they're connected at those ends, and then this is going into 18, this is in 27. The next thing I'm going to do is take my phototransistor here, and the emitter, I can never remember on these, the emitter goes to ground, and on these kinds of devices, the emitter is going to be the side with the flat on it. That's really hard to see in video, but one side is going to be flat, and on this one the flat side is up here, so that's my emitter. It's going to ground, and so it will go from the diode, the collector side, to, which is 27, to the emitter will go to 29. So now I have my light sensor here. It's going with its collector in 27 and the emitter up here in 29. And then I'm going to jump 29 over to negative on the side. So I have a little short wire, and I'm going with green for ground from 29, the emitter, over to negative. The next connection I'm going to make is to take the resistor and put it into the positive. So I'm going to connect row 18 over to the red positive. So now I've connected the resistor along that same row over to the positive side here. Next, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect my Arduino. So this green line is going to go into negative because it's the ground, the negative side. 5-volt yellow will go into the plus. And so now my Arduino ground and 5 volts are connected into the top of the breadboard there. And like I say, those will then connect. This yellow one is now connected down here to this yellow one that goes into the resistor. The green up here is connected to this green one, which will go into the emitter of the phototransistor. My red wire that's in pin 2 is going to go to the let me see, I need to look at my diagram. It's going to go into the collector side of the phototransistor, so that's row 27. Goes there. The orange one is going to actually connect into the relay, and here's that relay again. I've soldered on some extension wires to it because it doesn't fit very well into the breadboard, so I just made the wires a little bit longer. And what I'm going to do is insert that into the breadboard a little lower down than everything else because it's not actually connected to that photosensing part of the circuit. And so now it's connected, and it has pins in 15, 14, and 11. And then on the other side it has a pin in 14. And the two that are the 14 row, like I say, those are the coil that actually operate the relay. And so what I need to do is put pin 12, the orange wire, into one side of the coil, and I need to take the other side of the coil to ground. So I'm going to take a green wire here and take the other 14 to the negative. So now I have this green wire that's going from row 14 over to my negative ground side here on the breadboard. And finally what I need to do is connect these other two pins to, in this case I'm just going to put an LED in here. I'll show in another video how to actually create the circuit that would operate from a plug and operate a heat lamp. But just to test the circuit, I'm going to use this standard white LED, and this is another thing, I can never remember which leg is which, so I just test it by plugging it into the vertical 5-volt and ground rows, and I'll plug it in one direction and it doesn't light up, so I rotate it to plug it in the other direction. Still not lighting up. Oh, I don't have my Arduino plugged in. Let me plug the Arduino into the computer. You can hear the computer recognize it. And now it has power so that I can test my LED. That direction doesn't work. I can rotate it around and it lights up. So I know now that the pin that's plugged into the positive side needs to be plugged into positive, and the negative side needs to be plugged into negative. Because it's an LED, it's a diode, and only allows current flow in one direction. So you have to have that direction correct in order to get it to function. So what I'm going to do is take that positive side and put it in row 11 with the relay, and then I'm going to take the negative side here and plug it actually into the negative row of the breadboard. So I have this LED plugged in, negative side into the negative row, and the positive side is plugged into one leg of the relay. And then I'm going to take the other leg of the relay that I said was in row 15. That's this leg up here. That's row 15. I'm going to just connect row 15 here into the positive side. And to keep my color coding, I will even use a yellow wire. For my positives. So I'm going to take positive into row 15. So I just connected this positive to row 15 here. And now I should be able to go back into the Arduino software. The code we have written works in Arduino version 1. So here's the code itself, and I already have it uploaded onto the Arduino, but if I didn't, I can just click upload here, and as long as I've selected the proper Arduino, which is an Uno in this case, and the proper communication port, which is 12, sometimes that just takes some trial and error. In this case it's telling me it doesn't like COM3, or that it doesn't like COM12, so let me cancel and look at my serial port. So it's not recognizing my Arduino. I'm going to unplug it, and I'm just going to plug the Arduino back in. Sometimes the software doesn't like it. And then I'll go back into tools here, and now COM12 shows up again. I'm just going to make sure that's selected. I'll upload the software by clicking the arrow. The Arduino will start to do some crazy things, blinking. That just is an indication that the software has been being uploaded, and when everything stops, the screen for the Arduino software will say done uploading. And so now if I've connected everything correctly, I can then go back into the Arduino software, open a serial monitor. At the same time I'm going to, actually it doesn't matter, I'm just going to click serial monitor. We'll get some clicking again, and the program will say in the serial monitor program initialized. And so it's ready to go. If I cover the photo transistor here, I can type Y, enter, and the light will turn on. And so I have a malfunctioning system here because the light's not turning off. So I'm going to type N, still nothing. I'm going to close the serial monitor and try one more time. It may just be an initialization problem. So click serial monitor, it initializes. I can cover the light sensor again, type Y, enter, it turns on, and I'm still not getting it to function correctly. Let me just double check that I'm in the correct connections on my Arduino. Okay, I had mistakenly put in my phototransistor backwards. It's a pretty common mistake. So now I just reversed it and everything seems to work. So I can cover the phototransistor again, click Y, and uncover it, and it works. I can test it again just simply by typing Y, enter again. It'll turn back on, and then when I move to allow light sensing, it will turn it off again. So that is how to put this together. In another video, again, I'll tell you how to replace the LED with a circuit that actually operates a hot lamp, which is a little more complicated, but the only thing that will change is instead of the LED, these two LED wires will simply be replaced by wires that are connected to a hot lamp and to a wall outlet. And so this relay is still going to be controlling that. It's just controlling something other than the LED. But that's how to put this together. I hope that's helpful, and good luck.